Welcome to the Tone Lounge Podcast, the definitive music industry and gear podcast with Jonathan Gilmet and Frank Fleckenstein.
Welcome, everybody. This is the Tone Lounge Podcast. We're on episode number 5, and we are happy to welcome another guest before this year closes down. And today, not only with me, as always, my good buddy Jonathan, coming in live from Belgium, but also live from Spain, José, the head and creative mind behind Thermion. Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. So, how are you doing? How is where exactly in Spain are you located again?
We're located in Albacete. It's quite the average, tending to a small town. It's like in the middle way in between Albacete and Alicante, Albacete and Valencia. We're kind of in the middle of nowhere, where Don Quixote used to be, and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Kind of the typical. I don't want to be really hard with Albacete, but it's kind of a not very developed area. And okay, it's fine to live if you like it quiet.
Oh, okay.
That's nice. I like it quiet, and I live in a city that is considered to be the biggest village in Europe, with 1 million people living in there. But it's a village because everybody knows everyone. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's great.
It's just like that. So we usually start this with sharing a couple of industry-related news. And to be honest, I was like, I was kind of watching my news feed, and actually, like, the past week hasn't been that exciting. I've seen a lot of he said, she said things. Like, this guitarist was saying something about this, names his favorite bands and all these things, and it's like, just so that some magazine could do like a little headline or something. The only thing that I really found to be interesting, since we talked about that last week we talked about so Reverb at the end of every year releases the most sold items of the year, and last week we talked about the most sold guitars, and I thought it would be fun to dive into another article that they've released, which is the best-selling pedals and amps of 2023.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, so let me just share my screen with you real quick. All right. Can you guys see that?
absolutely.
Okay.
Whoa.
Whoa. So let's start with this: the best-selling pedals that were released in 2023. So not pedals that are older than that. And they made a list of 10 of those. And what's interesting is that apparently an ambient reverb makes the number 1, which I find to be interesting, because an ambient reverb to me is such a specialized effect that kind of wondering how that ended up there.
You're probably maybe not taking into account the worship guys who always use like huge reverbs, and worship right now it's a huge deal in the States, and they play a lot of gigs, and every week at least.
Yeah.
And those guys really like their gear to be good, and especially the reverbs. So for me that really kind of makes sense.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, you're right. I hadn't thought about the worship musicians. That it's not a big thing in Europe, though. That's the thing. It's more a US thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a meme at a point in a forum where a European guy was like, every time I see something about worship, we're like, what's the deal with that? We don't know what it is. It's like very, very, very a really American thing that for us is a little like foreign, but really it's a huge deal.
Yeah. Yeah, in the US,
that's interesting.
That is big, yeah.
I thought that the germanium tumnus would have creeped up to like at least number 3 somewhere in this list, just considering all the hype around that pedal.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Germanium Tumnus. Yeah, the one with the magic diodes that
the magic
Scott
diodes.
was laughing about and all that stuff. yeah.
The magic
Completely.
diodes. Yeah.
Magic diodes. They make the tone. What else can do it?
Yeah, no, it's just the diodes. Nothing else does it.
You put a couple diodes inside the box, and that's magical.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, the circuit is not even that important when you think about it. You could just put the diodes in. No circuits, no soldering, nothing. You just leave them loose in the box, and the magic is there.
Yeah, but it's you know what's interesting. I used to know that kind of stories from the hi-fi world, because when I started out in retail here in my hometown, like a block away, we had like a high-end hi-fi store that none of the loudspeakers would start at below 2,000 euros. It was super expensive.
And the IEC cables start at around 200 and things too. Whoa.
But not only that, once they made a funny experiment where they just like made a black box, a black chrome box with one switch that they connected to a hi-fi system, and they said this thing creates this makes the sound like more, in the room, in your face. It's going to be more intense, exactly. And they set people in front of it, and then now listen to it, and they activate the unit, which was just an LED, nothing. Yeah. And then people were like, "Yes, you're right."
so that's the equivalent of a producer switch for hi-fi, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I studied in audio engineering, one of my teacher had this thing. It was just a faceplate that would go in his rack system, but it had knobs and stuff, but it did nothing. And the company that makes it called it the Does Fuck All. Okay, the DFA. That's what it was called. So Steve would be in the studio, and he had all these A&R guys coming in. Steve, I think this needs more bass. And he's like, oh, yeah, more bass? So he would go to the DFA, and he would just a bit, just crank it a bit. And he goes, like that. And the A&R guy's like, yeah, that's it, man. It wasn't even plugged in, right? Does Amazing. Fuck all.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I'm like, man, I need that. That's so cool.
Unbelievable. Moving on the list, what I see is a lot of the pedals on here were pedals where the marketing around it was definitely, the marketing around the germanium tumnus was definitely very good. And then there are two EHX pedals in there, the EHX JHS, the Nano Lizard, which was like a recreation of an old unit. But then again, if JHS involved, it seems like every time, because the marketing around it is so good, it always kind of becomes a hit. So, yeah, very interesting.
And there's two signature pedals in there too, right?
Yeah.
There's the Andy Timmons and it's got to do with the Andys. So Andy Summers and Andy Timmons. If you want success, guys, you sign someone whose first name is Andy.
Yeah. There you go. Exactly. You don't need anything else.
It's the first letter of the alphabet, so it's really easy to find, it's right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Everybody who orders their artists in their brands by alphabetical order, the Amplifier there. At the top.
Yeah, the lazy ones go for the first letter. I like to go for Z.
I guess that can be.
But for the most part, it's like it's nothing too. The ODR10, the Karma ODR10 is a recreation. The Fender Shields blender is a recreation of an old thing. And that's interesting. The Peterson Strobo Stomp Mini, a simple tuner.
Mm-hmm.
How could they beat TC Electronics?
Well, have you ever, guys, tuned with a real Peterson Strobe tuner?
I find them, to be honest, I find them confusing, but I know that a guitar tech that I know, he says like, I don't use anything else.
Yeah, it's a bit of the same for me. When a friend of mine who's a luthier here, he's like 76 or 77 years old right now, and he loves his Peterson stroke tuner. And the first time I tuned with it, I was like, I don't know what's the deal with this. I can't even tune. I'm used to the typical Boss tuner, something very simple. But the truth is, like the third time when you're tuning with it, you're like, wow. This gives me so much information, and this is so great, and I can kind of see the tuner how it is working. So I have a TC Electronics Polytune, like 90% of the guys, but probably if I were to buy one right now, I would go for the Peterson.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe I should give it a try. I mean, I know that Chris from Jupiter Effects, who we spoke to last week, he also swears on the I think it's also like a Strobo Stomp, but not the mini version, the regular version. I never asked him why, but you'll never know.
There's there was also a few other tuners that came out in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, not in the last couple of weeks, but also Earthquaker has released one. The one with the upper jacks and the LCD display.
Oh,
yeah.
Quaker?
Was it Earthquaker or Walrus?
Walrus.
Yeah, Walrus Audio. Yeah.
And I think Walrus. Yeah.
And I think either Joyo or NewX came out with a new tuner as well. So there's a few companies that are like taking the tuner concept and they're throwing like new technologies at it. Putting in better buffers and all this stuff. So maybe there's like a resurgence for buffers. Not that I know that there was ever a hype for it, but that's interesting.
It's also interesting that I'm an electronics engineer, so buffers for guitar pedals are usually what we call a perfect buffer. So literally it can be improved, but somehow they're improving it, and it kind of it hits me very hard that they're improving a perfect buffer.
That's interesting.
And so here is the other list. That's the list of best-selling pedals overall. So it doesn't include. It's not only the releases of this year, but everything. And it seems like nothing really has changed. Boss DS1 and Boss BD2 seem to be like the pedals that are changing the owner the most, because that includes new and used sales. So and then Keeley Compressor Plus, Line 6 HX Stomp, Boss TU3, there we go, another tuner. Strymon Cloudburst on 6 overall. There has to be a lot of worship people in the US. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And I can see, it looks like there's only like maybe 2 fairly new ones, or maybe 3. You have the UAFX Dream 65 Reverb amplifier. I think those came out in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
And which one? Well, the Cloudburst is technically from this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But the rest are like staples, like things that you see constantly, like the Line 6 HX Stomp, the Proco Rat, even the Digitech Drop has been around for quite a while. So I think those are like more like the meat and potatoes of guitar pedals. Like those are sure values.
Yeah.
But there's a few of them there that snuck in there that are fairly new, and I'm kind of surprised to see them in that list, though.
Yeah, same.
The deal with the Universal Audio, I think they put a huge marketing campaign behind it, and it is no wonder that they've sold so much. And also, it's no wonder it is there, because for many people, it has been kind of a letdown, because they expected it to be more analog, kind of, or more, I don't know, a little more realistic. Or, for example, the deal with the, because I have many users that have told me like I really notice the how do you call it, the time gap between when you play and when it sounds, the latency. The latency. I really notice the latency. So for me, no wonder that pedal is there.
Yeah, I mean, Universal Audio, they're also a good company when it comes to marketing.
Their marketing is huge.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of their products. I used to own an audio interface from them because I was interested, back then I was interested to kind of take the work burden of my computer and have like all the, especially the plug-in processing inside that DSP. Yeah. And I thought like, oh, so might be a nice thing. But then I noticed that the thing that really bothered me was that the lowest possible latency on these things is huge. I mean, yeah, you have direct monitoring and everything, but at some point, what's happening during when you're recording and what's happening with direct monitoring, at some point there is a gap that's big enough so that like double tracking becomes kind of weird and uneven. You know,
you really notice the latency.
Yes.
I have a friend who has a studio around here, and he has a couple of Universal Audio. A couple. Probably his entire studio is based around Universal Audio, and he has really told me that Universal Audio, despite of they claim, and I'm sure that that's the way it is, that the audio interface and does the processing and the DSP and everything, but you really have to have a powerful computer for everything to run all right. He just upgraded to one of those last generation Mac computers, and he said to me like, now everything is like glorious sounding.
Yeah, exactly.
Until now, I was like, I really can't find the deal in between this and a Focusrite.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has a lot to do with the fact too that major studios and people at home don't deal with the same issues, right?
Yeah.
So at home, you're going to have a small laptop and you get yourself something from Universal Audio, and you might experience that latency because the big studios, they have like the most powerful computer you can think of.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
and they're not, and their workflow is also streamlined. They only have a handful of plugins they're going to use because most of the time they're using outboard gear. Yeah. We're using tons of plugins into our session. So that means the buffering from both the computer and the audio card is a big issue. So if you cannot like take off all the plugins because your singer wants reverb, wants delays, wants all this compression, but you don't have outboard gear, you only have plugins, running that stuff while you're recording can create some major latencies, or even sometimes if you're listening to it, you can hear yourself with a delay. And it's not necessarily something you want.
No.
So, yeah.
No, not at all. And I would like to close this down with, so here's the list of best-selling amps. I mean, this is only Reverb, so it's not a representation of the entire market. But since it's very international, it's interesting to see that the number one selling amp on Reverb is the Positive Grid Spark 40. Followed by the Boss Katana, followed by the Yamaha THR30, followed by the Orange Micro Dark, which is essentially all small home usage amps, right?
Yeah.
It's not like you can take a Positive Grid Spark and go on stage with it. It's impossible.
No. But so 90% of guitar players nowadays, I think they just play at home, and also I think that we have. The market right now, I don't think it changes. I think it has already changed since COVID. There's a lot of people who learn to play guitar, and they now are buying gear. And many times it's gear like this that it's very portable, very compact, and they take them from home to their place for the holidays and stuff. And if it's portable, it's like they go for it.
Yeah, exactly. I fully agree. And it also says in the key takeaways, like convenience and size dominate the best-selling amps list with portable, lightweight, and digital sound-packed options from Positive Grid, Boss, Yamaha, etc., etc. The only thing that I don't know why it's there. Well, I know why it's there, but I don't understand it from my personal views. The Fender Tone Master, which is essentially like a digital version, of the deluxe reverb. And I know why it's there, because it's super light. It looks like a deluxe reverb, but it's super light, and obviously that makes it very convenient for people who don't want to carry heavy stuff around. But I've tried it, and I don't think it sounds very good. That is my personal opinion only, but apparently it seems to be. Maybe it's another worship thing. Who knows?
Maybe.
What I'm seeing here that's very interesting is that there's way more consumer amps. I call them consumer amps because they're more like practice stuff as opposed to gigging musicians. Yeah. And there's only a handful of amps in there that represent the gigging musician, but there's a classic that's in there, which is number 16, the Fender Blues Junior. Oh, yeah. And that one seems to be in every list, no matter what year you're at. Yeah. Which really surprises me. Yeah. It surprises me that it's still there, considering that list has really morphed into more like the consumer type of amplifiers. And we still have like that one. I see I think it's a Mark Tremonti at 14.
Yeah, the MT-15.
It's probably still borderline gigging, but also home use, because I think that one is 15 watts perhaps.
Yeah, it's 15. Yeah, exactly. 15 watts heads.
Yeah, and there's a few bass amps in the list as well with the rumbles.
There's really nothing above 25 watts or something.
No, exactly. Everything is very low wattage, either digital or solid state for the most part. Yeah, that's very telling, I think, of probably where we're going in the next decade or so.
Yeah, nobody's buying anymore those Engel power balls that we were buying in the 90s, you know.
Oh, shit.
I am. I'll buy them.
We're old school guys, it seems.
Yeah.
The problem with Engel is that that's my personal opinion, has nothing to do with what the market, how the market was working. When I was still in retail, we were selling shit tons of Engel amps, because you could buy a Fireball with 60 watt, enough to play in the band, and they were selling for 900 or something. So it was like super affordable. And if you just needed one basic channel and nothing else, then you were totally fine. But the problem is, I always found Engel amps to be too harsh, too compressed, way too compressed. And the last Engel amp that I really liked, that I actually owned, was the Savage 120, but the old one.
Oh, that's the real deal. That sounds huge. Yeah.
Yeah, this one still sounded like it had lots of balls, really. Same as the old Blackmore head, which was essentially like some kind of modified Marshall, if you wanted to, from the tone. But I don't know, with Engel, they have gone into a direction that at some point they were making acoustic amps, and then they were making pedals and like all kinds of stuff. And I was like, okay, but why don't you just, stick with what you do best, and make it better, or make it more convenient for people, or whatever. But
I don't want Engel to enter the floor pedal market, but if they did something like a 4-channel floor amplifier, it will sell like candy, probably. Hey, Engel guys,
don't tell them
to say anything.
please
don't give him the ideas, man.
No, don't tell him. Not a good idea. The other thing, I think, Jonathan, you said there was a new pedal coming out from Paul Cochrane, the guy who makes the Timmy. What kind of? I think that he was only talking about it on his Facebook page, as he always does. What kind of pedal are we expecting?
He's not dropping that many hints, at least from what I was able to search. It seems to be a different circuit than the Tim or the Timmy.
Okay.
And it's got one of those funky names, and from what I could tell, it's inspired by him thinking about his great-grandson building some like time machine or something like that. It's like really like far out thing. And it's supposed to be another overdrive, but a different type of circuit, if you will. And the thing that I find fun about companies like that is that they're still iconic. If you say the Timmy, everyone knows the Timmy, but if you mention the name of the person that makes the Timmy, a lot of people are like, oh, I never heard of him. Come on, guys, put a bit of effort, look into it. It's like Paul, come on, Paul Cochran, go check him out. And I think it has to do with the thing we just mentioned, the advertising. Some of these guys are more like old school. They want it to be word of mouth kind of marketing. And I'm hoping for him that this pedal is really going to catch on. But I think that the legacy he has with the Tim and the Timmy is already like huge. But this new pedal, if there's not a whole lot of marketing, it's going to take some people to really jump in on it and talk and praise the product, because some of those old school guys are really kind of missing the point there with all the free marketing you can have with Instagram and YouTube and all that stuff, right?
It's I know it's difficult because at a certain point you have to choose what to do with your time. You can either like make a lot of Instagram content or design better products, or you know, but you really have to give social networks the importance they have in the 21st century.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess it's time to go to our main topic today. We're going to talk about Thermion, and for everybody, because for everybody who doesn't know Thermion, which is very possible, and not to discredit you, Jose, but the thing is, we are in this big sea of people.
Probably nobody.
Yeah, where we are in this big sea of people making products in this industry, which is rather small. So, but even though it's small and everybody knows everyone, it is possible that some people, don't always get to the surface and reach enough people. So, when did you start Thermion? When did you design your first product, and what was your first product?
It's a long story, kind of a long story.
We have time.
Lucky me. I started in 2012 absolutely by chance. It was a happy coincidence. I walked into a local shop here in Albacete. The shop belongs to a now very good friend of mine. And they had a Marshall JCM 800 2205, disassembled and upside down, everything open. And they were like, we don't know what's the deal with this amplifier. It doesn't sound, it doesn't start, it's blown up. And I was like, probably these are like, I don't know, I don't remember specifically like the cathode resistors or something. I don't think even the ACM had cathode resistors. It's probably this thing, because I've repaired a couple of these for my friends, and suddenly like all people are around the shop like looked at me like, what are you talking about? Do you know anything about amplifiers? Because here in this city, nobody does. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm an electronics engineer and I'm a musician. So, everything matches. And I just repaired and biased a couple amplifiers for my friends. And they were like, from right now, you're art technician. And I was like, okay. I guess I can refuse.
We own you.
That's the way that Thermion started. And for the first, until 2014, I started as the technician for the shop. At first, it was less than a part-time job because I was working in the railways here. I was a rail, and I still at the heart I'm a railways engineer. I used to work with the trains, but everything started from there, and everything started to grow kind of naturally because there was literally no one in like probably 200 kilometers around here that really knew what they were doing with their amplifiers. And everybody started taking their amplifiers to me, so to have it biased and to have it repaired and everything. And in the meantime, I started to design something like I had a very specific need because I was really into rack power amps. I had a couple of rack power amps. And I was like, I really need a preamp that I like to make it sound amazing just with a power amp. And why not make it a pedal? Remember that we're talking year 2013. Nobody was really making specific preamps in pedal format. And I designed gasoline. I designed gasoline, and I was like, well, okay, but now that it works with a power amp, why not making a switch so it can work with a modern or old school amplifier? And that's the three-way switch that gasoline and all our preamps have. And then the third thing that I thought was like, and now that I've heard of something called impulse responses, not in the music industry, bear in mind, year 2012, 2013, I have studied it in my master's degree, which I didn't finish, by the way. Probably I should do something related with impulse responses. So I'm going to design something with impulse responses that works with the pedal. And it was the third thing that I made for gasoline. And with all those three things, I went to a local kind of ampreneur contest thing here in Albacete. And I won all the categories.
Wow. That's cool.
Because they were like really shocked. They were like, this dude is absolutely crazy. What's the deal with these things he's showing us? Like for playing guitar and for cloning the tones of other amplifiers. What is even an amplifier? And then in 2015, early 2015, I started my own company as it is. And I started designing the breaker and all the preamps, and started planning to go to Music Messe. That was still a good thing by that time.
Back then,
I really miss that. But Guitar Summit is way better.
Is way better,
and that's kind of how everything started rolling on.
Nice. And I have to say, and you can quote me on that. I mean, this is going to be on the record anyways. But there are many pedals out there that claim to be like amp in a box kind of pedals. And some of them are, and others are just, I think, putting on a filter, but they're not recreating they're not really recreating the how an amp behaves and feels.
The gain structure and things. Yeah,
exactly. And you do in my opinion, two of the best amp in a box pedals that I have come across, and I've come across quite a few pedals in my life. But to me, the Heartbreaker is the best kind of Brit style amp in a box pedal. It's as simple as that.
Oh,
so
for
everybody out there who is looking to kind of to defenderize his Fender and wants to put on I saw a rig rundown with Guthrie Govan at some point, and he was doing the opposite thing. So he was playing this Victory 100 watt prototype, which is essentially like Marshall-y kind of. And he used a Wampler pedal, like the 65 or the 57, I'm not sure. And he says, so this is my main tone, but if I want to de-Marshall the whole thing and want to make it more like sounding like a US clean amp, then I'm using this pedal. And the Heartbreaker is essentially doing the opposite. You can put it in front of every kind of clean amp, and whatever character it has, if it has a neutral character or if it has a US style character, is gonna turn your amp into a great sounding mid-gain or up to mid-gain plexi. That's what it does, and that's where I say I haven't come across another pedal that does it that well. So all kudos to you.
Well, I'm also going to give you some praises on because I have them right above me here. I have the Breakthrough and the Heartbreaker, and I've done quite a few videos where I needed something that was more Marshall or more AC30. And lately I did a video, and I think it's going to be coming out in the next couple days, where I was testing out an IR loader from Joyo. Mm-hmm. And I was putting pedals in front of it just to see if I could make a pedal that's supposed to be an amp in a box sound more like the real deal.
Yeah.
And I used both those pedals, and I had a few viewers going, "Who the hell is Thermion? Those pedals sound awesome." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're damn right." Yeah, like, how come nobody else knows this? Because I'm putting it in the raw mode, and I'm going into IR loaders, and it is fantastic. It sounds it sounds like it's supposed to.
I guess I put a lot of time into developing my stuff and making it sound like very realistic and dynamic and like the real deal. And I spend literally no time on Instagram or making pictures of my face. I know. I should do it more. Every time I participate, in any kind of podcast or interview, everybody tells me like, you should really expose yourself a little more and talk about what you know, because the knowledge you share with the guitar players and how you build everything. And I'm like, yeah, but at the end of the day, I really enjoy getting into my cave and being dark and stuff with my transistors and stuff. And that's something I really can help.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally makes sense. 100%. Okay, so then you started making the pedals, but at some point, and I think you still do them, you started making amplifiers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a concept in my head. I really love my favorite amplifier is the JCM 800 2205 or 2210. It depends on the day. But I wanted like more or less the same concept, but sounding American with a little bit more gain and a little bit less compressed, more dynamic, and with a lot of attack. And I was like, I should design something. And I came up with the idea of the Spitfire, which I have one right here I can grab. Sorry, orange guys, this one is orange, but no, please don't sue me. This is like a 2-channel amplifier. It has a very simple, clean channel, kind of a brown face era Fender, just with the bass and the treble, with this is for the electronics engineer, the back sandal, kind of just very simple thing. Like it takes pedals like charm. It takes pedals really awesome because it's very, very simple. And then the gain channel, which is here, that has like two modes, a low and low, like a mid and a high gain mode, and two master volumes, so you can play your solos and make it stand out. And I made this guy. Started with the 20-watt version, and then I went for the 50-watt version, which I can really grab easily because it weighs significantly more. But I really play this amplifier like every week, rehearsing with my band. I love it. I'm completely satisfied with it. And for me, there's like, because I obviously designed it for myself, it's like the top I can achieve of the tone for myself is my own tone. But with the amplifiers, it was kind of a short romance because shortly after I discovered that it was just my personal tone, and there were some people who loved it and who own this amplifier and really love it and really like play it every day and absolutely love it. But I started designing things for other people, which is something very important if you want to have a company. I had like the spectrum I needed for myself. I had like the preamplifiers and the tube amplifiers. And shortly after, I don't know how to call it, the kind of tube amplifiers crisis hit, like everybody started to go for more portable things, like I guess the noise restrictions went a little bit tougher here, especially in Spain or in general in Europe. Low wattage amplifiers, and that sentence that we've all heard so many times, like, hey, can you turn it a little down? Which turns into someday it was quite the fun experiment. We did a sound check with the guitar amplifiers turned off, and we got the comment, please can you turn your guitar amplifiers down? And this was with my band, and we were like, yeah, this is really an achievement. Like we have invented the no watt amplifiers, the 0 watt amplifiers. That's amazing.
And it's still too loud.
Yeah, it's still too loud. What are you doing, guys? Yeah.
Might as well just walk off the stage and go home.
In fact, that day we skipped that gig. We didn't play in the venue because we laughed so hard that everybody was very angry at us because we had that stupid thing to make the sound check without the amplifiers, and they were like, no, it's too loud, and we're like, please, come on.
Yeah. They've been indoctrinated to just bitch at guitar players, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You see a guitar player, just tell him it's too loud.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. What if he's okay? No, tell him he's too loud.
He's too loud. He's always too loud.
A short technical question: is it possible that your headphones kind of disconnected because we can hear ourselves kind of echoing?
No, they are. In fact, let me. No. I'm going to kind of, but your voice is coming through the plugs here, so I have literally no sound around me but my voice.
Okay, no worries. We can always fix it in post.
I hope. If that gets too bad, I can try to make it with my computer. It will take a minute because I have to take out the microphone and the camera. That it's not very good, but we can. If it gets too bad, I can do that.
No. Don't worry. It's going to be fine. We always manage to fix it. Actually, now it's gone as far as I can hear. Okay, moving on. One of the things that I'm really interested in right now is, since we are approaching the end of the year, and I have an insight into how some people in the industry are doing. My question would be, how was your 2023? Because I've heard from so many people that it was difficult, it was challenging. We still had a shortage of components and parts, especially for makers. That's an issue. So, how, if you look back at how this year went for you as a company, how would you kind of rate it?
Well, I would say 9.5 out of 10. It went really, really, really well for us.
Wow.
Maybe it's not because of the way the market is shifting or going. Maybe it is just because we're kind of starting to getting a little bit known, at least more than we were in 2015 or something. And I think too, because we have learned with many failures to stop and listen to what people want. Freeway right now, that Jonathan demoed some weeks ago, it's being a huge success for us. We are a little bit on back orders right now. We have to do the last run, and for us it's been an awesome year. I know for the dealers it's been not so much of a great sales year, but I don't know. I think we've been in business for 9 years, completely in business, and I've been in this industry or as a tech for 11 years. And there's something I've learned, that many guys don't have to, because they have enough money for marketing and stuff. But I'm a survivor. I need to stop, and I have learned to hear what people want. That's something that may come as obvious, but it's absolutely not an obvious thing, because the market has like tendencies. And for example, we were talking about the big 100 or 120 watts heads and the cabinets and the things that we have to carry in the 2000s or late 90s. That they're not a thing anymore. Nobody carries those. I mean, just in rehearsal rooms and stuff, but nobody takes them to live shows. And usually big companies take a lot of time to really stop and hear to what the market and the guys around are demanding, especially when their numbers start to go a little low, or they don't make the sales they made anymore. And that's a little bit also with the dealers, that they are kind of pushed together with the big brands. And for example, I received a comment. No, the Freeway is doing very good. That's no secret. And I really loved the comment, which was exactly, I wish that Fender had done this instead of the digital big tone master pedal board, because this is simple, this is analog, I can really get that Fenderish sound in just one pedal. Why didn't Fender make this instead of a small company in Spain? And I'm like, well, then buy from me.
It's as simple as that. Yeah.
But I think that right now we are in a period where big companies are starting to take consumers really seriously and their demands. That's why Universal Audio put out all those preamps in little formats, and that's why Fender is trying to shift a little bit, but still I think they haven't hit the right spot. The world is changing, as always.
And also going with what you're saying, Jose, is that there's a lot of musicians out there that love the compact pedal kind of deal, like amp in a box, but what they don't like is diving into menus, right? Yeah. So it's like you have to go really deep. And with the Freeway that I have over here, there's none of that. Everything is like right in front of you. It's super simple. So that is, I think, a really great example of listening to what people are saying, because some people are really geeky and nerdy and they're going to dive into the menu and they know how to route everything. And then you have some people that are somewhere in between. They know what they're doing, but if they're wasting like 3 hours to create a patch just for one sound, it becomes too time consuming. And then they're going to go back to just putting pedals on their pedal board and that's it. Yeah. And with something with the Freeway, it's like you have the amp sound, you choose your microphone, you choose your speaker, your cab size, which digital reverb you want in there, and you have more than plenty. So that means you don't have to waste your time with a reverb pedal. And then if you want to, you can use something like the Breakthrough or the Heartbreaker if you want to have like a high gain pedal or a different sound. So it looks to me, and I've been demoing your stuff for a few years, it looks like there's a vision and a continuity between all your products, because you can use everything. You created like this ecosystem where you can use all Thermion pedals and not have to go to anything else if you want to. But if you want to integrate other pedals, it's going to work great with it too.
No, thank you. Yeah, that's my idea. For example, with I say you have one there, the Stone Age. It was quite a challenge, as you say, because I want everything to be easily integratable with my old stuff and with the Zero and with the Freeway and with the old preamps, and create, as you say, that if you want, you can just create your own tone in a very analog, very completely analog fashion with no menu diving, absolutely, which I hate because I had a G major and I hate menus. That thing really taught me how to hate menus. And the G major menus were something else. And also, I want everything that, despite of what you connect or whichever brand it is, it should work well. And with the Stone Age was quite a challenge because, fast pedals are known for behaving in weird ways that you really can't expect in any situation with any amplifier or with sound guitars. and I wanted to make a fast pedal that even if you plug it, to literally any amplifier you can imagine, it's always going to behave well. So for us, that's a philosophy that everything should be portable, easily integratable, and it should work well in any situation with any other gear.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny that you mentioned the G major. I remember that at some point I was actually fiddling around with a G major. I had back then I was playing in a band where we had enough space so that I could take like a rollable rack where I had my amplifier in the lower part, and then I had a little rack where I had like delays and stuff like that. And at some point I was like, hey, I want to kind of replace a couple of things in there. And then I was looking at the G major, and what I found to be really interesting, the G major came out way after the G Force, which was like the first. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yet the G Force has superior converters built in than the G major for some reason. Whenever I would plug in the G Force and the effects loop of my amp, the sound wouldn't change. It would actually improve, actually.
Yeah.
But the G major, oh my God, it sounded like somebody put a tube, like a plastic tube in front of my amp. Everything sounded like super weird because the converters were absolutely terrible.
Yeah, that's really a thing. And that's why we designed one of the design ideas behind the Outlaw was, you're not going to expect this one, to be able to use a G major and make it sound good in any amplifier. Because if you turn everything to zero in the Outlaw, the only thing that remains is a 1-to-1 perfect buffer. So if you put that in front of the G major, it makes it sound good.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. No, I
that's crazy.
I actually didn't expect that. Wow.
Yeah, there's always like a lot of hidden little tricks and stuff you can do with our gear that when I tell people, they're like, I didn't see that coming.
Since we were mentioning, or you were mentioning a Frankfurt Musikmesse that doesn't exist anymore, thanks God.
Yeah.
Because at some point it was just, at some point it was just like, it was like going to a funeral, man. It's absolutely no, really. You go there, you know that 50% of people don't want to be there, but they're forced because their distributor says you have to go. We have to have a booth, and it's like, and everybody's like, oh, I don't know. Nobody wants to go, but. We were mentioning trade shows, and you said Guitar Summit, which you attended for the first time this year, right? Oh, okay. I kind of.
I'm going to just a couple seconds. I'm going to put my phone into plane mode and to activate the Wi-Fi because everybody's going nuts calling me, and I think we're going to get a lot of interruptions.
Okay. No worries.
Just 1 minute.
No worries.
Just 1 minute. Okay, that should be fine.
Okay. Since
am I back?
Yeah.
Yep.
All good. Since we were mentioning trade shows, so you attended Guitar Summit this year for the first time. That's right.
Yeah.
You also went to NAMM.
I've been 3 times to NAMM. Yeah.
3 times. And if you would look at, okay, I went to this trade show, I came home with XYZ, and then compare that to the other trade shows, what do you think, or from your experience, what guitar show or what gear show was the most valuable for you as like coming back and really having achieved something?
Yeah. I think for the surprise of no one, I will say that Guitar Summit is the best show I've been, and I will be literally every year I can, as long as they keep doing what should be done, in my opinion, which is as I said, at first listening to users, listening to people, because Guitar Summit is the epitome of people listening to other people.
Yeah.
I think that's my personal opinion, probably a little bit controversial, I don't know. NAMM show is driven by things like industry standard things and people like trying to force the way of users or consumers towards some tendencies, or it's like very old school. It's driven by old school people. Mm-hmm. They are very reluctant to change because NAMM show has been doing amazing until 2020 hit, until the COVID came and hit, and from that year it's totally sucked. Yeah. I've been in one NAMM show after COVID, and I was like once and then no more. By Guitar Summit, they're really doing it in a really amazing way. They're listening to users, then making it super accessible. Probably the guitar guys really don't need a big show together with a pro audio thing and together with Korg and their synthesizers, and they are doing a really great job. So if somebody at Guitar Summit is listening to me, hey guys, please keep doing this, because I think it's perfect. And it's also like 3 times cheaper than the NAMM show, which I really can appreciate.
Oh yeah.
And obviously there's the it's very close home factor, which for me it's really a thing. But if somebody at the United States and listen to me, US guys, it did something like Guitar Summit in the States, I would totally go. Everybody in Europe would totally go back. Many companies in the United States that haven't been attending to the NAMM show for the last 3 years would go back, because we really want something adapted to the modern times that doesn't require a lot of investment, that maybe you're not going to find Slash or John Petrucci walking around the show, but at the end of the day, obviously it's about the artist, but it's more about looking at new gear, about the things that are coming, that are going to be shown. Something, please, a little more attendant and exhibitor friendly, like people at Guitar Summit are. I don't know, I can just praise Guitar Summit because until I have spent a lot of money in shows, and I spent a lot of money in Music Messe, and the return, I always thought, well, it's so because it's very expensive. Obviously I've done great business here, but does it really benefit me as a low mid-range pedal manufacturer to have great names or great people walking around here? I mean, I have to be stuck in here. I can't just go find John Petrucci and just kneel in front of him and say, "You're the best ever. Yeah. I like your guitars and I like your playing." But for me, it's not a thing. And but. Yeah, Guitar Summit has done it really great.
Yeah, Jonathan had the same impression. He went for the first time, and I think after the first day, we kind of met at the booth that I had downstairs, and he was like, "This is amazing. I didn't expect to be able to connect with people so easy at a show like this." I remember you saying that.
Yeah. Well, sorry. Yeah, from my perspective, see, I've always looked at the NAMM show on YouTube. So you would see, guys like the Tone King and, more established YouTubers going there. And whenever you watch those videos, it's so loud. It's crazy loud.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can tell by the voice of the people talking, their voice is raspy, and they're like, rah, rah. And, they all get NAMM tracks that they call it. And I was kind of afraid of, when I went to Guitar Summit, that I would have that kind of experience, because I didn't feel like coming back home sick. I didn't want things to be too noisy, because if you guys don't know, I'm hearing impaired. Too many years of playing loud music, so I have to have hearing aids. And it was like, people are going to be talking, I'm not going to be able to understand shit of what they're saying. So I was kind of afraid of that. And then I get there, and it's just moderate volume. You can hear people talking. You can have conversations with people. Everyone has like discrete monitoring stuff where you can just put on headphones, try the gear. Sure, I mean, it's not the same experience as having moving air from a speaker, but you still get to try it without bugging other people. And there's no competition of like guitar wankery where one guy's like playing sweep solos just to show everybody he's the king of the place. There was none of that.
Yeah.
And on top of this, the other thing from my perspective, I'm going there. I'm super shy. It might not come across in videos because I feel a little more comfortable being in my man cave. But whenever I have to have social interactions, I'm a bit more like withdrawn. So I had my little GoPro with the microphone and I'm going around and guys are like, hey, you got a YouTube channel, right? Yeah. Come, we'll talk about my pedals. They did half the work. The people there want to talk.
Yeah.
So even if you're like no socially adept as I am, you can still go there. And I ended up with so many business cards. People were throwing them at me, but not like throwing them out of despair. It's more like, hey, you got a YouTube channel? Let's connect. Let's talk.
Yeah.
People were happy to be there. And I stayed an extra day. I was only supposed to be there for the Friday, but I ended up staying for the Saturday as well. And Frank told me Sunday is a little more like, mellow and people just want to bail out. So, you can skip Sunday, but do stay for the Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the volume of people on the Saturday was completely crazy because the Friday was not too bad, but Saturday it was like shoulder to shoulder trying to walk in there. It was nuts. And I talked to companies and they were saying to me, we've been coming here since it started and we've never seen that many people in this building before.
Yeah.
Was that your experience as well?
Yeah. I've only been to Guitar Summit this year.
Oh yeah, the 1 year. That's right.
This year, so
yeah.
I really can't compare. But I expected, with all due respect, a minor show, and it was not a minor show. It was like just taking the part that really matters for me from the NAMM show, putting it there, and having everything super accessible, as you say, with a noise restriction policy that you can just skip going into one of the booths and cranking the amplifier to 10 and making your head explode if you want it. It was really easy to talk to people. You didn't have that really bad feeling of having the noise police with the dB meters around, kind of measuring everything. Mm-hmm. And I just say the competitions, the little Edward Van Halen's playing the tapping. Wow. Yeah. It's a really friendly show, and I really got the impression that people have come to appreciate that, and that's why it was crowded.
Mm.
Yeah, I can compare. I've been going there since the first time it actually took place. So that the first time was in 2017, and it was still kind of shy, although people were really interested because it was this new thing, and everybody knew that Musikmesse was going to die. So everybody was like, okay, let's go there. Let's be the first to check this out. And then 2018, 2019 were the event was like increasing, so that the numbers always went up, the numbers of exhibitors, the numbers of people attending. And I mean, it's also good. I mean, Mannheim is not a super interesting city. It's actually really small. It's this small kind of square center. And it has like one university that's related to music, but it's not like it's a huge city like Berlin or Hamburg or Barcelona or Madrid to relate to talking about Spain. So it's also very good for that city, and it seems like they're making it easy for Guitar Summit to grow every year because they help them with the organization and so on and so forth. So I think, in general, the future of these guitar shows is going to be within that format. Smaller, more accessible. You have artists walking around easily. I mean, you also have that at NAMM, but at NAMM, the whole thing is like a bit more. There's like more fairy dust around the artists. You know, they're walking around like because they walk around there because they live around the corner, and they're like, you know, this is my home turf, sort of. Whereas at Guitar Summit, they were like even more accessible because they were like very humble by how intimate the event is. Like Doc Aldrich, for example, walking around super easy, being friendly to everyone, not being, you know, arrogant or ignorant at all, and being accessible for people, like doing selfies and all that stuff. It feels like you're just hanging out with a couple of buddies. That's how the event felt to me.
It also felt like the European crowd is very different from North American crowds. Now, I'm going to make a generalization. It's going to be like one of those controversial statements, but I think in North America, there's way more adulation towards artists and popular people as opposed to Europe, where people are a little more down to earth. Like, I remember walking and I saw the Nolly from Periphery, and he's just walking down and no one's asking him for autographs. There were other popular people that I saw. No one was asking them for autograph. They were more like looking at them and just waving at the person, and the person just went to, you know, do whatever they were doing at a certain booth. So I was kind of surprised by that, because I really expected more like fanboys, like wanting selfies with the artists. And no, the artists were free to walk around, do their thing. I even saw Mateus Asato. Yeah, he was like going up the escalator, and he was just like looking around at the different stuff. No one's bugging him. He just looked like a regular dude at an event. Like, no, he wasn't like, look at me, I'm a great guitar player. There was none of that. Nope. So no egos from the people. They're just free to walk around, look at the different gear. So I that was something I really appreciated from Guitar Summit. It's like there were no egos. Everyone was just eager to be there, happy to be there. So yeah, it was a very cool experience.
Yeah, completely agree. And as you say, I think a little bit of the European mindset were kind of more quiet people and more introverts, probably way more introverts than the people from the States are. So I think that makes artists feel a little more comfortable. You know that if somebody is going to approach you, he's probably going to do it slowly, like, hey, are you that guy? Or and I think that also makes a little bit for a better general atmosphere. I also think that also what makes for the feeling is that it's still not as huge as the NAMM show, because there are people who purchase NAMM show tickets not knowing who's going to go, because they know that they're going to be among the rock stars. And probably that's not a thing in Guitar Summit. If you go to Guitar Summit, you are going because of the gear, not because of the artist.
Well, I think it's kind of both things, because since a few years they started this thing with the master classes, where people go to get a masterclass with their favorite guitar player or with their favorite artist or whatever, and then they have a lot of these workshops with people who are experienced in certain things, such as like tube amps and vintage guitars and whatnot. So I think it's kind of both ways. It's also because a lot of people use the opportunity to connect with people, check out gear, but also educate themselves on a lot of things, which is something that I really like seeing, because I remember Chris from Distributors saying last week, there are so many people, especially on the internet, that have an opinion, but in his humble opinion, you shouldn't have an opinion if you don't have the experience to back it up, you know? So
that's very true.
That's something that would definitely make the world better, but it's not close to happening.
No. Oh yeah, it's terrible, and and the problem is it's also impossible to kind of start. It's impossible to fight it. It's you always, every time somebody posts something controversial, and then you open the comment section, you feel like Don Quixote, you know, against the windmills, because whatever you're going to say, the windmill is going to grab you and throw you, you know, 50 meters off, and then you can start again. It's impossible to, and everybody's an expert. It's in this country here, people are like, we have a lack of people with skills and everything. Well, go to the comment section on Facebook. There you have the experts. Grab them from there. Extract them.
That is a phenomena that I've seen grow more in the last, like, I would say, since 2016 around. Like, you see people that really pretend to know what they're talking about, but then it gets split into two teams. So it's very polarized. You got the people that are yes, and you got the people that are no. And if you're anywhere in between, no one pays attention to what you say. No. So someone's going to say, Tube Screamer is garbage. It's antiquated. We don't need them. There are much better products out there. And then you got to have all the people that come in and say, no, it's the best pedal. There's never been a better pedal than the Tube Screamer. And you got two extremes, but you never have the people in between saying, okay, but what amp and guitar are you using? What sound are you going for? What else is on your pedal board? Those people, man, they get ignored because people want to fight about ideology when it comes to gear as opposed to educating themselves about the gear. As a guitar player, there are things that I'm biased towards, or pedals that I think are freaking awesome, and others, they're not my thing. Until I get a different amp and different guitar, different set, and then I go, holy shit, this pedal is awesome. Yeah, it's awesome at this particular thing. Just to make a blanket statement saying that, humbuckers are crap, or single coils are disgusting, they're too noisy, or whatever. It's like, what's the context?
Yeah.
And when you make videos or even podcasts or whatever, and you try to educate people, you got some people out there that are in that gray zone. And there are way many more of those people voicing intelligent opinions than there are those idiots at both ends of the spectrum. But those are the people that make the most noise. So those are the people we fight with and we try to educate. But we shouldn't. We should pay attention to the people in between, the people that reciprocate. They're paying attention. So if you say, look, I just put out this new product and it's made for these people. Digital is crap.
Yeah.
Why?
Try it.
Or it's like, there's no way I'm going to play something like the Freeway. I'm still playing my 100-watt Marshall and it's just fine. Good for you, buddy. Good for you. But that's not who it's made for. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say that really. We should, as a society, stop giving our kudos to very opinionated people. We are a little bit, that's something I really talk about a lot with my wife and with my partner and with everyone around me. We are we are not entering, we are already in the reaction society. Mm-hmm. Your opinion, your reactions is what matters. You can see it in Instagram, the reaction reels, in TikTok, the reaction stuff. You should always have an opinion. And I think as a society, as you say, the big group of people that are, I consider myself not a very, obviously I have a lot of opinions, but as much as I have those opinions, as they start to get like really contradictory and to vary a lot in between them. And then we should really have, as a society, the power to say, I don't have an opinion and I really don't want to have an opinion, because there's really no need for me to consider this good or bad or anything. I mean, most of the people, like 90% of the people, don't have an opinion around something, and really they don't need that. And shifting towards a society that expects people to give their opinion on things, I think is completely wrong. I think that experience is always above opinions. That's, I mean, I'm not going to say that's science, but that's a hard fact. Experience is more valuable than an opinion. Mm-hmm. And we should really start saying, I don't have an opinion and I'm not interested into building one.
Yeah, but then again, people who have an opinion and like, I don't know, shifting towards one side or the other, there is a social aspect around it where obviously people want to be part of a movement. People want to be part of a collective where it's like, oh, I have the same opinion than these 1,000 other guys. We're family. We like we are one. We are one bunch. You said something. You said something very interesting because I've actually reflected on that a lot. I've never spoken out about it. How much I actually hate reaction videos. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how someone, and it's like at some point, when I was still doing like way more output on my YouTube channel, I was like, I should just do reaction videos because apparently this shit works. You have someone, you have someone sitting on a table, watching a vocal performance of someone. Of obviously someone and then kind of like I'm gonna be commenting and reviewing blah 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 on the. It's like, who are you? Are you a certified expert on anything? You're a vocal coach. There are a million fucking vocal coaches out in the world, and you're the one we should listen to and like look for guidance if this is a valuable performance in your. And he was talking about a performance by Tool on a festival that is like a performance is absolutely legendary. There's no doubt this is just an amazing performance, not only visual but also sonically, because back then Tool were kind of a reckless band. They were like absolutely leaving every stage in shambles, and now you come across and you're like, today I'm going to be reacting and commenting about this. It's like, go away, please. Nobody needs a reaction from you. The same with unboxing videos. Like, I used to do that because I just for the experience to see how people would react to it. And then at some point, the unboxing video of a guitar that I received had more views than the stupid main video. I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this is stupid. We should do unbottling videos. Yeah, we take a bottle and we open it up and we drink it. Of course, a bottle of beer. We open it up and we drink it, and then we kind of. This bottle sounds very good when opened, and the ingredients they taste very good as well. Next bottle, please.
Yeah. Oh yeah. See, I think this is part of the experience with YouTube and educating people is that there's what is considered entertainment, and then there's what's considered education, and in the middle you have edutainment, which is a mix of both. Yeah. And I've been told so many times, you know what, you should do more funny stuff. Because in real life, it doesn't show, but I'm just a goofball. I say the dumbest shit, right? But doing that on screen is hard because people don't understand that there's a camera. Yeah. And like, let's say this microphone would be the camera. If you're trying to interact with something that isn't alive, so there's no feedback loop that you can gauge whether you're funny or not, right? So a lot of times when we look at YouTube videos where people are doing this, they're playing guitar in the shower or they're playing guitar in a church or something really weird. You have to think to yourself, where's the value in this shit? Like, I'm just being a clown. I'm being a monkey with a guitar. What am I bringing to people? I just look like an idiot and I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to. Sure, I might get like millions of views, but people are watching it just to laugh at what I'm doing. But I'm not bringing anything. So then you have the other part of that entertainment, which is the people reacting. But if you would see me, if I filmed myself reacting to something, this is what I look like. So what do? You have to blow it out of character. You have to be like, oh my God, that is so amazing. Listen to his voice. It's like, fuck off. That's not me. I'm not going to do that. That's just dumb. Unboxing? Dude, I have the shortest attention span when it comes to unboxing stuff. Jose sends a pedal. I get the pedal. I fucking open it and I'm in there and I'm look. I just discard everything. What kind of unboxing video? He's like, oh, look at this wrapper. It's very nice. Oh, so cringy. It's like, Fuck, no, I'm not gonna do that. And I'm 47. I'm not gonna start doing shit to be hip with people that are in their 20s. I want to be myself. So I get the box. I open it first. I test the product for days before I make a video. I think there's nothing that makes you look more stupid than opening a pedal, opening a box, taking a pedal, put it on the pedal board, and then you just start fiddling, just E chord. Oh yeah, sounds good. And you do this for 9 minutes? What's the fucking point? Play it, test it with different amps, different guitars, put it in relation with different pedals, and then you can make a video where you know how to highlight how this pedal works or the amplifier or whatever. But just like taking it out of the box and making a video right away makes you look like you don't care. It's just like, let's go through. I got this one box. I'm going to make the video. And then I got this other box. I'm so busy. I don't have time to dedicate to this company to really understand their product. Right? That's just my opinion. And I know that sometimes people are like, you have to say politically correct things. But if you really want to help people on YouTube, you can't just be dismissive about it. You have to take time with whatever you received, because someone made that pedal or that pickup or whatever, and they're trusting you to show people what it can do. They don't want you to make it look good or bad. They just want you to show it to people. Yeah. And then people make their own opinions.
That's really something wise you've said. It's not something about making something look good or bad. It's just showing it is useful and the situations where it is useful. And if it is not useful, just don't do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would completely agree with that philosophy.
Going a little bit back to your operation, you mentioned a partner. So right now, how many people are involved in Thermion?
Directly involved, working here at the workshop, we are 3 people. Mm-hmm. My partner Jesus, a guy that's helping us named Manuel, who's just been with us a couple months. Prior to Manuel, we had a friend of mine named Emilio. It's like 3 people in here. One person as a representative for sales in Spain. Mm-hmm. And one partner who just doesn't work here. He takes care of the boring part, extremely boring company part and the intellectual property. He's a lawyer. I would hate absolutely to do what he does. His name is Vicente, and he doesn't even live in Albacete. He lives in a city close by. Mm-hmm. So that would make like 3 and up to 5 if you want to consider it.
Okay, yeah, but I mean they're involved in the project, so I would consider them part of it. So you said you have someone who is obviously exploring the sales side in Spain, and for the rest of the world, I understand that you're working with distributors, right?
Yeah, we are working with distributors. We sell in South Korea, in Japan. We have distributors. We have a distributor in the United States. We have a distributor in the UK. We have a distributor in Germany. Sorry, the phone.
No worries.
The phone is ringing in behind.
No worries.
Okay. I will just roll with it. And we have a distributor in China. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of distributors around the world working with our products, taking good care of them, and that's the way we make sales. We also have an online shop where you can purchase our products if you want to purchase them directly from us, and that's pretty much the structure that we have.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting because I know a lot of companies that went away from having distributors and went straight to dealers, to retailers, because it obviously made more sense for them, and they were able to, then the final price for the consumer is lower than if you have another mouth to feed, because with a distributor, obviously distributor wants a margin, dealer wants a margin, and then obviously you end up with more money in your pocket, which isn't the worst thing. But I also know that in some regions, you absolutely need a distributor. Like you mentioned Japan, for example. I know for a fact that without a distributor, you won't get a foot into the Japanese market at all, because they want to deal with their own people.
Yeah, and they have very restrictive laws towards importing electronics stuff. I know it for a fact because I had to do the certifications for Japan and South Korea, and it was really something. I was like, well, selling in Europe is a joke compared to selling there. Probably it has gone the opposite way for us, because we don't look that like we've been around for many years, but in fact we have been around for almost 10 years. And when I started, it was like when I started the business, the guys who were around me, who always were starting their businesses or were a little bit more established, they were like, we were kind of needing distributors. We were completely biased towards thinking that having distributors was a very positive thing, that they were going to help you a lot, get your products into the market, into the market that you were going for. But I think that probably if I would have started, around, especially after 2020, I would probably have the opposite mindset. But I really think that you have to. It's positive to have both. To have obviously, if you have distributors, you can have dealers directly, but you should have like a huge online presence. If people choose to buy from your online shop, that's completely fine. If people choose to buy from the distributor, that's also completely fine. And also, this is like a more a thing that probably will only be of interest to other makers. If you have the idea for your company to have the structure of I'm not going to say I'm big, but if you want to be similar to big companies, and you have the price structure to have let everyone have their part, the distributors and stuff, I think it's also very, very positive, because it opens doors for you. Probably people are thinking like, well, if you didn't have a distributor, your products would be much cheaper. I don't really think so at all. Our products are not particularly expensive because of the way we work, because we are structured as a company. We make a lot of pedals. Well, a lot. We make as much pedals as we can. Probably not even close to. We don't make a lot of pedals, but it's more of a decision you have to make about how are you going to do things, more than I need to not have distributors because otherwise they're going to my margin is going to be like shitty low. I don't think so. It's more like a decision and some the way you structure your company.
Okay. Good to know. I have before I forget, I don't want to forget this. So we actually tried to collect questions beforehand whenever we have a guest, and we announced that you would be here. So we have a question from a guy that I actually met a couple of times called Antoine, and he says, "Hola José, ¿qué tal?" So he knows some basic Spanish, which is not too bad.
That's right.
That's right. It seems to me that the music scene in Spain, especially in rock music, is quite difficult for musicians, in brackets, not many places to play, hard to get people to shows, etc. Has that been a problem for you when launching your brand? Un abrazo.
Oh, that's a very good question. Wow, and I have a lot to say about that. Yes, in Spain, there is not much as a music culture. I would say rock culture. If you play like I don't want to be like to talk about cliches. I don't want to be like everybody attends to flamenco shows. That's not the thing, obviously. But yeah, rock has a difficult time in Spain. I've been in a rock band for a lot of years, so I know for a fact. But I don't think it's especially difficult if you are intelligent and you try to go to the right places and to the right people. That's kind of an obvious thing to say. But for example, we make a lot of, it's not particularly the style of music that I love the most, but we make a lot of noise in the indie music circles here in Spain, because I have found that they're very open-minded guys. I've seen indie keyboard players play through a gasoline live, the synthesizers, and I'm like, what are they even doing? But I think that's amazing. If you have an open mind and you explore a lot of genres, and you kind of, I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, but if you keep an open mind and just talk to musicians instead of looking for rock players or metal players, and just going for musicians and just going to talk to the musicians to see what they need, to see what I can do for them. You're going to have a much easier time doing so, because I've been in the opposite side. I'm more of a rock metal kind of guy, and I've been a little hell-bent on, hey, I need metal and rock bands, and yeah, okay, I have really nice collabs here with pedals, with rock and metal bands, but you have to open your mind to be open to anything, and it gets way easier.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a funny cliche with the flamenco music would be saying like everywhere you go in Germany you have like Bavarian folklore and people with funny hats and lederhosen
and an accordion
exactly. It's
so I have a question for you. Well, actually, for the both of you. So I think there's a thing that brings YouTubers and pedal makers and other people in the industry kind of at a similar standing point, which is social medias and branding yourself and putting yourself out there. You guys find that you have an intention, like you think you know who your customer base is, and then at some point you realize, okay, I thought, like you were saying, like I'm more of a rock and metal guy. But do you find that sometimes those are not the people you're attracting? In fact, you're attracting maybe more the blues people, and now you're still under this banner of, well, I'm more like this, but for whatever reason, these are the people I attracted. So do you adapt your content and what you make towards them, or do you keep just going with what works already and you let whoever wants to flock over to Thermion or for FFX pedals, you just let people just come in and do their thing?
I have a very particular take on that. I think that, and as I said like 3 times in this conversation, I think this may come as obvious, but you should just do what you feel like it's correct. Obviously, as I also said, taking into account the opinions and what people need. But for example, I can show you around. Everything in here is black. We have kind of a very metal aesthetic. All our pedals are black, metal and black. Those are the colors you can find. A little bit of red in our pedals. So many people that see our pedals are like, this is going to be the most metal thing in the fucking world. This is going to blow my head. And then they start playing the Heartbreaker, and they're like, wow, these racks, this is like AC/DC tone, and this is not metal at all. And I think that it's just your creation. I create things that, despite of how they sound, they look very metal. I know it for a fact. There's something I just can't help about making things look metal, but I think that especially in the indie music scene or the indie music artists just love to have a pedal like that looks metal as fuck in their pedal boards, and they just love it. So I don't think I should really need to change anything and to start now with colors and with rainbows. There are a lot of people who do that.
Yeah. Cool.
For me, it's like, so, okay, this obviously comes from the perspective of someone who has been super involved in content creation, and I plan to go back there, especially for next year. But also someone who, like, in just before the pandemic kind of hit, decided to create pedals on his own. The thing is that when I started doing the YouTube channel, for some reason, I unwantedly became an ambassador for a US guitar brand because I started playing their guitars. In this case, was Kiesel guitars. And I think that a large part of the people who still are subscribed to my channel are people that associate me with these guitars. But at some point, I stopped playing their guitars simply because the company went into a direction that didn't resonate with me. And no bad blood, no hard feelings, not at all. I still love what they're doing, but they went into a direction, especially content-wise, that was very. At some point, it was very trendy to get people who have looks instead of sound, you know, and use people who have a huge subscriber base on Instagram. And enable these people and send them guitars and everything instead of people who have the talent and the skills to show the instruments. And that didn't resonate with me. But yeah, so what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to kind of rescan who is actually following me on the social media networks such as YouTube and all the others. And then see, okay, what can I do to engage with these people in a way that, A, I keep them following me and I keep entertaining them in a way with interesting content, although they might have started following me for a complete different reason. With the pedal business, 2023 was not a good year because I rarely had time to do any kind of content, and I've also found out that trying to get people to do content for you who have a huge follower base is not always going to be the best thing, and it's not going to have the result that you want because you simply don't know if the people who follow this particular person are also going to resonate with your products. You know, it's like you said, you know, all of your stuff is like metal and black, and there's this aspect to it, and then you send it to someone who is like super into metal and he plays all the right stuff with your pedals, but somehow his community, the people who follow him, is like, well, it's okay. You know, and then maybe you end up surprised because you send it to a guy who is a blues person, a blues and classic rock person, and he plays your stuff, and people don't even care about the optics. Say, oh, this sounds amazing. I need to have that. You know, so yeah.
Yep.
So for this next year, I have a lot of plans around content, and I'm gonna simplify things a lot, make things a lot easier because I see that. You know, you can make things very complicated, and you can try to be super perfectionist with the content that you make. But what's more important is that you are approachable in a way, and show people that you're just like them. Yeah. You know, you're not perfect. There was a very interesting article that I read the other day where I don't know, I don't remember which kind of publication it was, but they said. Guitarists these days they are like super perfectionist when it comes to like creating the 60-second kind of video, and God knows how many takes they needed to make it that perfect. And then when all this effort doesn't pay off because people don't resonate with it and people don't like it and share it and all that stuff, they fall into a deep depression, which is a super weird thing. And then people were commenting and they were saying, yeah, you know what? I'm just going to make a channel with purely mistakes. You know, just mistakes. So people resonate with me. And I think you gotta, obviously there needs to be some kind of balance. And I see a lot of people not caring about this or that hiccup, because in the end we're all just human. We're not machines. You know, if you want something perfect, you put it into a computer as MIDI notes, and it's gonna sound like shit, but it's gonna be perfectly played. And and there you go. You know, it's it is what it is. Nobody is perfect.
Well, here's my experience with that, and I think that might be interesting to anyone that kind of doesn't do this day in and day out. But the whole YouTube thing is very particular because, one, you have to put yourself out there. So that means you have to be open to criticism and opinions for people. I am not the best guitar player in the world, and I don't think anyone can say they're the best guitar player in the world. But the thing is when we have a camera and we have to perform, we think to ourselves, I have to be the best that I can because people are going to judge me. So then that kind of comes across as you being too perfect, right? So you're playing this sequence and you're doing everything and everything's tight, everything's awesome, and people will praise you. But the problem with that is that you're not making that video to be told that you're good or that you're a great player. You're doing that video to help people find out if this product is for them or not. So while we overthink the lighting, the camera setting, the audio, the performance, and all this shit, we get completely lost as to what the point of the video was. So that's why sometimes you have a simple video with just someone that's very charismatic. They're sitting there looking at the camera, they got their guitar in hand, and they walk through this as if you were in a music store with them, and they were just showing you the pedal, right? And it's those videos that resonate the most because the person is authentic. I'm not authentic if this is the fucking 100th take that I have on the stupid guitar lead that I keep fucking up because I'm too worried, I'm sweating because the lights are really hot. People don't think about that. So when you're watching that video of that guy that has like 500 subscribers and he's trying to get you to click on subscribe and interact with that person, and you're like, yeah, I don't know, don't care, and you're moving on. That person probably put 8 hours of work into that video. Exactly. And they still don't know what you want to see as a viewer. But when we start to clue in, like you were saying, Frank, you have the guy that plays blues and he makes a video, and you watch the video and you're going to go, holy shit, this guy gets it. Everything's there. The playing is to the point. He's not like too flashy. He's relatable. He understands the pedal that I sent him. Then that's the person you might want to work with again, right? Even though that might not become like huge sales, it might convert into, I don't know, 3-4 sales of a pedal. If this person understands what you're making and you like their approach and you're reading through the comments and you can see people are saying really nice things about it, then you might prefer working with this person as opposed to the person that's got like 100,000 subscribers, but no one gives a crap about what you sent. They're just giving that person praise because they're sweeping the fuck out of that guitar. You know, it's like, yeah, that's great, but what about the pedal? Yeah. Right?
There's only one guitar player that definitely claims he's the best guitar player in the world. Is that Yngwie Malmsteen?
His last name is Malmsteen.
he's for me he's the Zlatan Ibrahimovic of guitar, man. It's like you know, who's the best? I am the best. Yeah. You know.
Well, but that's part of the character he's built around himself.
Yeah, 100%. I still love the I still love this interview with him where he came up with the best phrase ever where he said like how can less be more? It's impossible. More is more.
Yeah, more is more. I love it.
Well, it's not wrong. It's not wrong. You know?
Yeah,
It's like if you have a 1-string guitar and a 9-string guitar, less is less and more is more. You know?
it's 100% true. So Jose, what is, if you look at like the next 1 to 2 years, what is kind of your projection, not only for you as a company and how you want to move forward and what kind of direction you want to develop, but also how do you see the development of the market?
Well, I think that everybody is going towards portable things, small things that sound good and get the job done, and that you can use live anywhere or record with your phone, with your at home. As the people are looking for flexible things, not necessarily powerful amplifiers. That's going to stay like that, unless unless the noise restrictions only get lifted up, which I don't think is going to happen. I also think that for us as small pedal makers, it's way easier to adapt to those realities. But until now, I don't think bigger companies have really gotten the idea of what people really need or what people really want. But they have started to realize that what people need, and they are going to get the right track. So it's going to be in some ways a little bit more difficult for us because, for example, things like the Freeway, which is this portable DI amplifier that you can use anywhere, that you can record with your phone, with your computer, and also play with headphones, have the analog emulation rapidly configured. I think there's going to be more alternatives in the big brands. For example, Boss Pedals released a pedal a week or
the IR2,
2 weeks ago, which is kind of what the Freeway does. It's more of a closed concept, just with 4 of their emulation that they already had, but in the typical, really recognizable Boss format. I think they're going to blow up with that pedal. They're going to sell millions of them, I'm completely sure. But the thing is, that's going to be bad because obviously more people are going to choose the Boss instead of the Freeway, but it's also very good because more people are going to start thinking, hey, maybe I don't need this 100-watt big amplifier. I can just roll with something very little that I can take anywhere to do the gigs with it. And they may do the opposite way. Instead of considering just buy the Boss pedal, they may think, maybe I need something like a bit more specific, a bit more analog, and they start searching for what's in the market, and they may find us. So it's going to be very interesting because I think that concept of portability that we, the small companies, have developed during the last years is going to jump towards the big companies.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say big companies are starting to listen to consumers because I fully agree that up until this point, I feel like big companies are just reacting to what other companies are doing. The example that you brought up before, like the Fender ToneMaster Pro. So Fender was essentially looking at, okay, let's look at modeling and let's look at these modeling preamps and multi-effects and let's see what works. And then they look at, okay, the Helix still works because of the amount of connections it has. The Quad Cortex, which was like the new kind of guy on the block, works because of its ease of use, because it has the touch screen, has like the encoders and everything, and they were looking at that and was like, okay, let's do something, let's kind of make it our own, let's have it like with a nice and flashy kind of look and everything. But then again, I don't think they have consulted very much with the end consumer at all, because there were a lot of they're fixing all the bugs now that they had from the beginning, but it's like they were just essentially copying what others are doing well and then putting the Fender logo on it and then just coming up with the phrase, well, it comes from Fender, so it has to be good, And if I remember some of the modeling stuff that they came out with before, like all these little modeling amps, sorry, but these things sounded like shit. It absolutely sounded terrible, and it just proves the point that just because you slap some like traditional name on it doesn't make it a good product at all.
No, absolutely. But you have to consider that Fender are the guys that invented the Stratocaster and the Telecaster. They've been the first guys around here. So they're kind of a big, slow monster that reacts very slowly. But when they react, we're gonna know.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
I have a question for you, Jose. In terms of reaction from people with the Freeway, I know a few years ago you guys put out the Zero, and that was extremely successful for you guys. As you guys, I remember talking to you, you were like, man, it's always out the door. We're like trying to get this thing out, right? Do you find that the Freeway resonates maybe a little more with people, or is it about equal with the pedal board amplifier that you have?
I think Freeway, it's resonating a little more with people because of the no power amp thing. Because the Zero, basically, it's similar in concept to the Freeway, but Zero, it's more of maybe a professional tool for people that play gigs and want to have their own cabinets on stage to hear themselves, but also hand a couple of XLRs to the technician and say, hey, this is my tone. You just have to route it to the PA. And obviously we've done a great deal of work trying to put everything that people have told us about the Zero and about all our previous inventions in the Freeway. I think it's doing better than the Zero for that fact, because with the Freeway we have done a really extensive job of stopping, thinking, hey, okay, let's try to put together all these things that people have told us and try to make it in the smaller format that we can. And also make something that from a user's perspective, it really doesn't mind, but for us, it's way easier to manufacture a Freeway than a Zero. Because a Zero, we are really kind of the guys that really stick to their beliefs, and we do everything here in Albacete, and to have the cases for the Zero done, wow, it's very difficult, because we have to go to guys that usually don't do that thing and try to make them do different stuff and to bend the metal and to make everything that fits with the screws. And bear in mind that we are not in Los Angeles, we are in Albacete, so we are kind of limited. But with the Freeway, also that came in mind. It's very easy to manufacture for us, because almost everything is done inside this workshop, not with the guys in Albacete. 90% is done here. So with the Freeway, it's doing way better than the Zero. All things considered, the Zero has always done well.
Okay, good to know. Nice. So we are kind of approaching the 2-hour mark, and we have 2 rules in this podcast. We are definitely not sticking to political correctness, and everybody can freely express their opinions. And second, we always want to keep it like within the 2-hour range, so it's something that people can listen to while they're in the car, maybe having a little trip somewhere. So I know Jonathan has a couple of rapid fire questions for you. I
have, and also some housekeeping
Okay.
to do. So we have this pedal here, which is the Arc of Tone. It's the only one in this color. We're giving it away. Now, we're going to be giving it away at how many subscribers, Frank?
This one we are going to give away at 500 subscribers. But we're also
500
having
subscribers.
have another giveaway running if we reach 250 subscribers. Chris from Jupiter-FX was kind enough to supply us with I don't have it with me yet, but it's on the way, with a pink Warlow. There's a limited number of pink Warlows from Jupiter-FX. And if we reach 250 subscribers, we're going to give away one pink Warlow from Jupiter-FX to one of these 250 subscribers, and then the Arc of Tone we're going to give away once we reach 500. So tell it to all your friends.
And there's and when we reach 1,000. I'm very, very inclined to give away the germanium tumnus, which is very in demand right now, and they're fetching really high prices. And personally, I don't hear much of a difference between this and the regular tumnus. So instead of just holding on to it and trying to make a buck out of it, which is not my style, I figure I'm going to give it away to one lucky subscriber. And it comes with the original box, so if you want to resell it and be really, naughty and make a lot of money, you can do so.
You can put it in Reverb for $1,000.
Yeah, they're going to be so rich, they're going to be able to buy a house with it. So, Jose, I have some questions for you. Very simple stuff, but just very fun. It gets us to have a look at what you're into, what your personal tastes are. So the first question, I keep it at 3 because when we go 5, people sometimes lose count. So I'm going to keep it at 3. What are your 3 top pedal brands?
Brands. I would say the first is Tech 21, probably. The guys I love the most.
Yep.
Marshall, because I have to quote them. They're like really top for me. And if I had to choose a third one, well, I don't know. Maybe Lane 6.
Lane 6? Cool.
It's kind of an out there answer, but I think they're quite intelligent, so I really like them as a brand.
Cool. And what are your top 3 overdrives?
Top 3 overdrives. I've never been much of an overdrive guy, but probably Tube Screamer must be there because as you say, I hate the Tube Screamer in general, but if you put it in front of a Marshall JCM 800, is the real deal, so it has to be there. Probably the... I'm not bad. SD1. I've also
SD1?
played a lot of SD1s. And that's a good one. There's an Ibanez pedal that came before the Tube Screamer, which is more of a fast pedal. It's an orange one. I don't remember the name, but I really love that pedal because it sounds like it's perfect for stoner style. I really, really, really like that pedal. I don't even remember the name of it, but
I know which one you mean. I know which one. It's the 850 fuzz. It's like the one knob one, right?
Oh, no, it has 3 knobs.
Okay, maybe there's another one.
Yeah.
3 knobs. Okay, I found another one.
Or
that's a phaser.
Is it Ibanez or Boss? Now I'm even doubting if it was Ibanez or Boss. So there's really an overdrive.
There is an 850 orange overdrive from Ibanez. Yeah, this is the first overdrive generation from Ibanez from the very dark times before the TS-808 came around.
Yeah.
Well, you should really hear that pedal because it's absolutely not an overdrive, but you will love it. It's something very special.
I'm going to add it to my list. Okay, so now I'm asking you a question you're going to find hard, and you must prepare emotionally for it, but I have to ask it. What are your 3 top favorite Thermion pedals?
Whoa.
Yeah.
The first one must be, because I have to pay tribute to it, the Gasoline, because it's the first one, and it's the one I still use a lot. The second is probably the Outlaw, because it's the pedal that it's in my setup, despite of what I play, of the amplifier, of if it's the Freeway, if it's the Zero, there's always an Outlaw there. And the third one is probably the Black Sun, because it's really a strange pedal, an out there pedal, and I really love Soundgarden and Chris Cornell.
Right.
And when he died, I designed the Black Sun as a tribute. So Black Sun has a special meaning for me, despite of being the worst selling pedal of all of the ones we have. But I really love the Black Sun.
That's very interesting. In terms of amplifiers, what is your go-to amp for any situation? Is it the one you showed us earlier?
I always play with a Spitfire, a 50 watts Spitfire. When I rehearse with my band, if we were still playing live, which we really don't do because we all have children and a lot of things to do. But I always leave home and leave the rehearsal room. I go with a Zero. And as a cliche, if I really could afford right now any amplifier, I would probably go to my friend Adrian, who's the luthier I was talking the first part of this interview about. I would go and buy his JCM 800 2205 because I really love it.
Nice. And in terms of guitars, what's your go-to instrument?
I'm a humbucker guy. I have literally 0 guitars with single coils. So I'm also a metal guy. So my favorite guitar are the EC series, the EC 1000 and the ESP EC series. Those ones that look like Les Pauls, but are not Les Pauls at all. And I also love PRS guitars because they're humbuckers, but they're quite flexible. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I have it's not a PRS, it's a PRS copy I bought when I was like 14 or something. It's heavily modded, but it's the one I use the most. And at a certain point, I had a PRS, like one of the lower series, which went away quickly. I'm into, big humbucker guitars.
Okay, cool. And this is my last question for you. Now, it's the proverbial, like, if you were on a desert island, okay? So I just want to make sure, like, you have electricity, you got everything. Like, you don't have to worry about it. You're not on propane, you can plug in. Let's say you could only have one guitar, one amplifier, and a set of pedals. It could be like 2, 3, maybe 5 pedals. We're going to keep it small, just so you don't have to go through a whole list. But if that was a scenario, you could only have one guitar, one amp, and just a small bunch of pedals. What kind of rig would you have?
Just one amplifier, one guitar.
I'm keeping it very simple.
Probably as I designed long ago the amplifier of my dreams, so that's out of the way. I would not take a Spitfire. I would probably take something that's very versatile, like a Line 6 Spider or something that, is very shitty sounding. The presets are complete crap, but you can get good tones out of it and you can literally make it sound the way you want. I would probably take my humbucker guitar Pierce style from when I was like 14 years old, because I completely redesign that guitar. And with pedals, I would probably take, I don't know if I can say the Freeway, because maybe I would need headphones not to hear the monkeys or the waves or anything in that desert island. Maybe an Outlaw, because why not?
Why not? Very simple. And I like the fact that you're not afraid to use your own things. A lot of people would go with like the coveted stuff. I'd have a 59 Les Paul with a Dumble, and I would have a Klon, the original Klon. And you're like, nah, man, I'm going to keep it simple. I love that.
Amazing. Well, Jose, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. It was really entertaining. What I like about the thing that we're trying to establish is I always learn a lot. And I always learn a lot from other people's perspective, and I certainly have in these 2 hours. So thank you for taking the time. And from my side, I really like the stuff that you do always have. And wish you all the best for this upcoming year and for the next couple of years.
Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot for having me here at the podcast, at the show. I really love talking to you. We spent this hasn't been said still, but we not as a group, but I spent a lot of time speaking to Frank and to Jonathan separately at Guitar Summit, and I really think I like talking to you, and you are very intelligent, very down to earth guys, and I really love being here.
We
That's
appreciate
awesome.
it.
Feel the same about you, man.
All right. That's it for episode number 5. See you next week for another episode. Bye.
Cheers.